Who am I? The girls them sugar. Who am I? The girls them sugar.
What's good?
What up? What up? What up? We back.
Chilling, man. Chilling. How you, Mike, man? I know you upset beating it up last week, you know.
I had to put it through some physical therapy, you know what I mean?
All right.
So it'll take a while, you know what I mean? Iced it, elevated it, you know, it's
All
good.
right. I'm glad, man. I hope y'all liked that last episode that we had. Like I said, that was just it was named Real Talk Part 1. So we'll have more of those in the future where we just kind of just like ran and go back and forth about topics and so, you know, hopefully y'all like that shit because that's what this is back to regularly scheduled programming today, but I'm hoping y'all liking that.
I did realize I get a little spicy when I'm off that juice. So as you can see, I'm almost done my little Jesus juice. So hopefully I get a little spicy on these topics we got today.
And we got a Meek Mill topic, so you already know how we almost got a Kanye West topic, so you already know how these.
For those who don't know, being Kevo friendship is built on arguments about Meek Mill, Kanye West. And
we
everything
need
that
those.
we're gonna talk about today.
We need those because we don't argue on much else. So we argue. We got to argue on those so we can get those arguments out. So like, I hate this thing. just so
going
just
back
so we
to
get them off.
2015, 2014, bro. Like we've been,
just so we can get those ones off, bro. Which is crazy because if you go back into our past, like I really wanted to go to a Kanye West concert one time. Like I really, really wanted to go, but it was really expensive. And he really like we debated about it for a long time. We ended up not going, but that's funny because it's just funny that I was the one that like, hey, we gotta go to this concert. Like looking back on it. Looking back on it, bro. How you been though, man?
Man, you know, it's what do they say? Adjusting to the new normal.
That is true.
The new normal, bro.
That is true. It's different now, man.
You know, it's crazy. Like I used to think, like, bro, I'm not wearing my mask. Like, if anything, like these protests and all this other stuff is shown, like all the new data that's coming out, like the mask ain't really. It's if you want it, but bro, social media, it has been such an uptick on like, bro, you better wear your mask. And like that's all I'm seeing on my timeline now. So it's like I got peer pressure to wear my mask again. So shout out to
well, if this is here's my thing on a mask. Like I don't like it. Like I don't like wearing a mask. But if I'll go into your business, you like, hey, you gotta put on a mask, then I'm gonna put on a mask. If I go to work and they like, you gotta put on a mask, I'm gonna put on a mask. I'm not gonna fight you about it.
Right. And I always do that. But like the places like my grocery stores, you don't have to wear a mask in the grocery store.
Yeah.
So I don't wear a mask in the grocery store.
Me either.
But then I've looked on social media and it's like 17 people posting like, you better wear a mask or you selfish if you're not wearing a mask. I'm like, all right, damn, no, I'll put the mask
Follow what you want, bro. Like, yeah, like I just don't want to wear a mask right now. Like I'm wearing a mask all day. I don't want to wear a mask. So people like, oh, stay home. Like I stay home most of the day. I still gotta go get some shit every once in a while. Like I ain't going nowhere. Those same people be the ones out in the club. I'm like, y'all in the club, like looking ridiculous. Like, come on, bro. Like, so I understand, but people they taking it too far. Like I know you seen the shit in Florida. They was taking it to like the state council and shit like that.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know specifically what you're talking about. I just know Florida, they shutting back down in Texas because they
took, bro. It was some ridiculous shit. There was like, this one lady. She was like, she had to be 50. She might have been 45, 50. And she was like, they was just talking, and she was like, at the end, she was like, to close it out, I don't wear a mask on my face the same reason why I don't wear underwear. Shit's got to breathe. And I'm like, gross. 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 What are you talking about? Gross.
Bro. Was a person.
Oh, bro. There was a one lady. She was like a Hispanic woman. She was like, you guys are all going to be arrested, but by God, because you guys follow the devil's worshiping and the devil's process by wearing a mask. You guys want all of us to be muzzled like mutts. And I'm like, all right, bro, you settle down, dog. Like this is like it's not this deep, bro. It's not this deep, bro. Like, why? I'm gonna send you the video for you to watch because that shit was. I'm watching this shit. I'm like, bro, y'all sound like a bunch of bitches, bro. Just either put on the mask, like, or the people that like you see the old man that ran into Walmart.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he fell. Like he ran into the wall. He ran up on him, and dude was like, "Hey, like chill out. Like you gotta put on a mask. We got masks here. Like we got the paper mask here. You put on a mask right here." So he pushed him. Old ass man, like 50 something. Old ass man pushed him. Dude backed up. He's like, "Yo, relax, bro." Try to push him again. The dude old man just wow, hit the ground. Hit the ground. It hit the ground.
You
Got
gotta
up and
put that
kept.
in here now. You gotta.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it out. I'm gonna edit that in. He put the ground, bro. That shit had me weak, bro. 'Cause I'm just like, bro, what you put on the fucking mask?
It's not that hard, bro. It's not
It's
that
crazy because like it's crazy because it's like because I see another white woman, probably Karen or whatever you want to call her, but she was like saying that like, well, I have a health condition, so it's federal law that you can't tell me. She's like, it's federal law that I can refuse service to anybody in here. So like, I'm telling you that you can't shop here if you ain't gonna wear a mask. Period. Like, if you that's like, have we forgot? Have we forgot that businesses own the right to refuse you service?
I guess this is the new normal, bro. Like we in uncharted waters right now, dog.
Yeah.
I don't know what is life. I was just driving today, looking like, bro, what was life before like March, like before this hit? Because it was definitely not like this.
I don't know, bro.
Things have changed, bro. But one thing that stayed the same. Who My Podcast is back and we better. We always here for you, for your entertainment purposes.
I think I said it last week too, but we read it now. But like I'm sick of the whole people of like the boomer generation talk about the millennials and the generation with Z or X or whatever it is.
We get old.
Well, it's just because it's just like you be like if it's like me if I had children and I'm like, oh, the next generation they trash, like they're terrible. It's like, bro, y'all realize that y'all played a part in raising that generation.
But that's the natural progression of things, though, bro. Like our generation is gonna say the same thing about Gen Z and everybody that come after.
We raised them,
but that's what I'm saying. Like we still gonna have our criticisms. Like we have our criticisms of mumble rap. We got our criticisms of people fashion, and we got our criticisms of how people be acting in these streets. Like, oh, that's not how I would have did it. That's not how I came up. That's just a natural.
Well, I'm saying you got to take some of that on your own and be like, if I'm a boomer, I got to be like, oh, millennials are trash. Be like, but I did raise them. We did. Our society definitely raised that generation, so we got to play a part in how they turned out. We can't just be like, oh, they trash. I don't know why they ended up trash. No, we know why we ended up trash. If you feel like that way, then look at yourself. Y'all was the same generation that thought it was cool not to take care of y'all families as dads. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, like, y'all just the same.
Hey, bro, that would hit home.
I'm just saying, bro, like, y'all the same generation that was making shit cool that shouldn't have been cool, bro. We seen Bill Cosby, right? We seen R. Kelly, like, let's.
That shit hit different when it's true, huh?
Relax, bro. Look at yourself. Look at yourself. All right, but let's get into this music, bro.
One more R. Kelly vibes. I'm trapped in the closet.
All right. I was watching a TikTok the other day. They was like, I don't give a fuck. Like R. Kelly music still beat, and I was just like, yeah,
appreciate you.
Kind of do, kind of do. All right, you got any singles?
I don't have singles for this week. I got all albums, low key.
All right, I'll hit two quick singles. I hit two. So I got "I Cry" by Usher. That's a weird song for me because the message is good. He sounds really good. I just don't like the song. It's not something I will listen to like several times or anything like that. Like I listened to it once. I listened to it twice, I should say, because I was like, oh, this sound good, but it's just like I don't really think it's something that I would go to. So yeah, that's "I Cry" by Usher. But I am interested in his music going forward. So that's kind of why I wanted to mention him. Because like going forward, I'm still looking to hear from Usher. "Girls in the Hood" by Meg Thee Stallion. Nah.
Really? I thought she ate that. Bruh.
I think she probably should have left that alone. The best part of his rollout was her in the dress twerking on her Instagram.
You know what? If Outside open back up, that's gonna be a summer banger.
Maybe I need to hear it again. I heard it twice.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to hear it again. When I heard I got the tap in vibes for Sway. the tap in, bro. I didn't want to tap in when I heard this, bro. So that I don't know, man. It just like it was parts. It was long though to me. Like it was 3 full minutes of this. You know, the beat kind of basic, and it's already a classic. And I can't help but hearing, you know, the actual classic when I'm hearing this. So it's like I'm already making comparisons in my head that I don't really shouldn't have to make.
That's gonna be a summertime banger, bro. I'm calling that.
If we make it out by summertime, shit.
That's what I'm saying. I think she released that in anticipation, like stuff starting to open back up. People want a summertime, like businesses, bars, clubs. Like if you hear that out, I'm pretty sure, excuse me, you'll have a different reaction. Cause like hearing it in the headphones or like hearing it in the gym or whatever, that's not gonna do it no justice. If you hear it out, hey, that thing it go.
All right, we're gonna hear it. We know the beat hard.
That's all people listen to nowadays.
Yeah, we know
bro.
the beat hard.
You know the beat hard. They hear Meg Thee Stallion, like they gonna hear 1 or 2 bars. Like she got some bars in there that people like, oh, this is my part. That's all it takes nowadays.
People gonna like it. I'm not saying people won't like it. I'm saying I just personally don't. But who am I? That's
definitely not. You definitely not who she made that song for.
Nah. But sometimes we ask like who they made this for, that I still don't know who they made it for. Like I'm like, this ain't for me, but I'm like, who is it
girl,
for?
Bro. You know what it is?
This one, yeah.
She got the TikTok popping. With the Savage song, she got TikTok popping. I can almost guarantee that this is gonna take off in TikTok.
Oh yeah, somebody gonna do something for it. Yeah. All right, I'll let you go though. I got 3 albums, you got 3 albums, but one of ours is the same. So I don't know if you want to start with that or end with that.
We get in with that since you got such a hot take on the GOAT. And
yeah, we also got to end with the J. Cole too.
Yeah, well, that's
leading to our next topic.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But I want to start with some albums that I missed, just because during quarantine or during like this time where it's like a lot of stuff slowed down. Again, I might be getting old, I might be getting soft. I don't know what it is, but R&B is just talking to me this year for whatever reason. That's just where I'm at in my mind frame right now. So a good album that I kind of slept on for a while was Giveon, his album Take Time. So if you don't know, Giveon is the artist that was featured on Drake's last album on the song Chicago Freestyle. He was singing the hook, and he had a very unique voice. It's kind of like Sampha, if you ever heard of Sampha, but more modern. It wasn't so abstract. But I listened to his album or his project, super dope. Only 8 songs, 24 minutes, so it's a short, concise project. So easily digestible. I liked every song. Like I loved every song on that project. Like I think this shot into my top 5 of the year just because this is my type of music. And I'll talk about this a little bit later with the album that I think we both want to talk about. But again, what I was talking about R&B and talking about how it lets you go through different emotions. You know what I mean? I think it's a space for this type of emotion. You know what I mean? Like for when you going through like your heartbreak and when you're going through like your downtime or whatever in a bad side of love, everybody want to be the cool guy. Everybody want to be, Mr. Popular. Everybody want to do that. And I think if you look back at some of the classics, it embodies this kind of like this side of love type of thing. So I think that Giveon, his voice sounds amazing. The song sounds amazing. His lyrics are dope. And overall, the sound is refreshing. I think that it's a good project. So Giveon, Take Time.
All right. So, I ain't gonna compare already, but yeah, I haven't heard it yet. But I'll go into who I have heard because R&B just been dominating me. Like it's not a close cut as far as 2020. I don't know if that's because of what everything's going on and rap just ain't really like we ain't outside, so rap and hip hop is just kind of like not really something that you want to listen to. But Black, man, the 6-piece hot EP. 6-piece hot EP, bro. That's been my shit lately, bro. We already knew. I know you like the ATL freestyle because we highlighted it way back, maybe a few weeks back. So he only really had to hit on 5 of the other ones, and he did just that. So it was pretty easy to do. So he didn't really have much. He had one feature, which is Know My Rights featuring Lil Baby. That song is hard. Elephant in the Room is hard. Outside, Float, and then Long Night. So they all dope songs. I think we should kind of. I think we kind of need people to get back to this though, because that's my only criticism of what we're gonna get into a little bit later. Just it's a little bit too long. Like why is it this many songs? Why is it up to hour and a half? Like August, I seen her drop the album, and I was like, I'm not even about to, not right now. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like it's a daunting task. Like when you look at 30 songs, you're like, God damn. It's like I gotta go listen to this and give a review on all this shit. Like I don't want to hear all this shit. Right. Like, so when you give me 6 and they all fire, I'm gonna put you up there, bro. I'm gonna put you up there. It's hard for me to put them like top 5 because again, it's only 6 songs and there's so much good R&B that came out this year. So it's hard for me to like put an EP above like albums that people actually, took a lot of time to actually put into. But it's but we like Black on here. So it ain't really surprising that we like this. But yeah, that's a 6-piece hot EP by Black.
Yeah, dope. Nah, like you said, like once he put out that ATL freestyle, I was like, all right, bet I'm ready. I'm ready for some new Black.
I thought it was an album though.
I think he kind of checking the temperature. Like, all right, bet is this y'all ready? Like, let's
That's
see
what
what these
EP is
numbers
supposed
do.
to be for.
Yeah, let's see what these numbers do to see if I need a little bit more work to get the streets hot. So I appreciated that. Another project that I slept on that came out a little bit ago is Ari the Kid called A Toxic Heartbreak. This is his second album this year. His first album was a more rap dominated album. He's kind of like a Tory Lanez where like he raps and he sings, and he puts out 2 projects, one more rap dominated and one more R&B. And I think kind of like how we say with Tory Lanez, his R&B just kind of shines a little bit more than his rap. But I think this was definitely a good project. I won't say that I like everything off the project just because like you saying, it is a lot on there, but it's dope because I always praise, like, I love the Kiana Lede album. I love the Summer Walker and Snow Allegra album last year because they can tap into those emotions. And I think it's harder for like men to do that and be relatable because we got that, like, ain't nobody trying to be in their feelings all day. That's just not how we operate. You know what I mean? But for you to do it, and I think he did it best in his song Toxicity. And just being a toxic dude, he explained it to a T of like what it is or why it is that we're so toxic, and talking about like, hey, I lied saying I was a real one knowing that I ain't shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people saying don't save you. I was hoping you could save me. Like, I was hoping that you could, you know what I'm saying, give me that. But once I figured out that you wasn't that piece that I was missing, then I just dubbed you. And it's like, that's how we think. But then it's like, damn, that's really a toxic way of thinking. You know what I mean? That's what leads to, women getting jaded, and that's what leads to us getting jaded. And it's like, for him to put it in that type of song that way, it's like kind of like how we was listening to K Camp. It's like, it's not too lovey-dovey. Like, Giveon might be a little bit too far, like, in my feelings. Whereas though, like, Sa'ari the Kid is like, hey, bro, I know I'm toxic. You know what I mean? Like, I know, I don't catch feelings for everybody type of thing. It's more like it keep you in your zone without going too far lovey-dovey. And I think this project super dope. All of his projects, his R&B projects, deal with like heartbreak or whatever, but it's done in a way where it's not too many ballads. It's just like this Toxicity song. It's like, it's kind of like bars because he is a rapper, but he's speaking on some real stuff. So definitely a good project. So I read a Kid, A Toxic Heartbreak.
I like that, bro. He didn't start the album with he didn't start the album with women or I'm a whole king and women
I am a single king. Women will hurt your feelings. I hate that part.
Oh shit, bro. Well, here we go with another little EP though. Wale, The Imperfect Storm. Did you hear that?
Yeah, of course.
Wale showed out with this one, bro. Wale came through, and this is what I need for Wale, bro. You know when you just ask for something out of a certain artist, and then they give it to you, though.
This is what we've been waiting for, bro.
Let's fucking go, dog. So yeah, this is because I know we talked a couple episodes ago about like artists and doing the whole like proud to be black type of vibe, like, you know what I mean, like the black community uplifting type stuff, and everybody ain't good at it. Wale good at it. Wale know how to do it all the way down to the beat. Like this beat is for it's for the black community. Like this whole soundtrack, this is what y'all need right now. Like I'm giving you this. Like this is how you release a rap album in today's climate.
But
like,
it's so good because Wale been doing this. He was doing this before it became popular, and that's exactly why like this is the perfect time for it.
Wale
bro, I love this EP.
He showed his ass, man. He showed his ass,
EP.
bro. Because we've been kind of waiting, like, you know, his last album was good. It had really good songs on there. It didn't hit home probably where it needed to be, but this was his time. If I had to think of like who can take advantage of the times that we in right now, Wale would be like high on that list.
I think what held Wale back is he had no identity.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like he was, and I think he said in his Breakfast Club interview, he was kind of like when he came out, he was still radio hit era. So like he relied on like the women, the tracks geared toward women that had that commercial effect. And as we moved into streaming, that type of song sounded a little bit too manufactured. So for a while, he couldn't adjust to like what it is to be in that lane in the new era. And I think it took a little time. I think he moved in the right direction with his last album, but this is who Wale is, bro. This is who he is. Praising a black woman, speaking on black issues, like being a fly guy, still giving you that DC, like that go-go music or whatever, but still giving you bars. Like, this is Wale. You know what I mean? I think if he can just capture what he did on this EP going forward in his future albums, like, this is what he needs. This is the blueprint for Wale.
He's one of those like easy digestible lyricists. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not like gonna bar you to death with a bunch of stuff that you gotta like slow down to hear. Like, you gonna hear every bar as it comes to you. Like, you ain't gotta like think back like, damn, he said what? Like, you just listening to it, you could feel every punchline. So why? Go ahead.
It's one of those ones where you listen and it's like, okay, this right.
This.
Oh, he's spitting. Like, he's going right now.
This nice. Yeah, like, so that, but you hear it immediately, right? Like sometimes with Conway or Benny the Butcher, like, you might have to like, oh, let me hold on. Let me.
Oh, he talking something. I'm not catching it.
Yeah, I missed something right there. Like, it's too much going on here. Wale is like, hey, as it's playing, you like, damn, this shit is hard. Mm-hmm. So with only 6 songs, dominated it. Dominated. So that's Wale. Let me make sure I got it right. The Imperfect Story EP. Again, it's only 6 songs, only 18 minutes. Go check that out.
Dope project, man.
This next one.
Let's talk about one of the biggest, if not the biggest, releases of the past couple weeks. Ironically, The Album. You know, so Teyana Taylor dropped a project called The Album. My opinion, great project. Great project. This is great music right here. This is great music. Ironically, under the label Good Music, so you know what I mean. Home team came through with a win. But this is a great project. A little long, It is 23 songs, hour 15 minutes. It's a lot.
If only she would have took those 2 songs Kanye West made at 22 and 23. If she had took those off, then we wouldn't have to worry about it.
If only she would have listened to Kanye and made a concise album, then this might would have.
Oh, but we remember last time what happened when she made a concise album, but.
It was a great project. It's just
it was it was
didn't follow directions. She just got
great is relative. my bad.
Yo, get your
my bias is show. My bias is show.
No, I think it was a great project. I think kind of like I was hitting on earlier, like she split this album up in a different mood. So you'll have a section for like about family and about like her love and her marriage, and then you have a section for just like some tunes you'll throw on in the bedroom, and then you got a section for like empowerment and just like finding your self-worth. And it's like all of that. Again, this is why I love R&B music, because it can take you through so many different emotions and you don't lose connection with the artist or with that album. Like you kind of ride that roller coaster of emotions, and I think she did it amazingly. I think the features that she got on here were so well placed. They all did their thing. Like, they didn't overstep the song. Like, they got in, they got out, and then they like killed it. Like, even she had Kehlani on. I love the Kehlani song. She had Future, Missy Elliott on a Timbaland beat.
That's my best. That's the
and
best
it
song.
Went crazy. Like, that song goes crazy. She had she flipped the old Erykah Badu song in like Tory Lanez fashion, and then put Erykah Badu on the track. Like, she had Iman Shumpert and her daughter on the track. Like, this
intro, the intro is crazy.
Like, kill. And like that song is gonna get the most plays. So boom, I'm gonna put my daughter on there and feature on there so she get the royalties. So it was just like, business wise, it made sense. Musically, it sounded good, and you could just feel that connection or whatever. I think overall, this definitely jumped in my top 5. Like, this
it's up there.
Amazing.
I'll debate it later. I just know it's there. You know what I mean? Like, I'll debate how high it is, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, right. But it's up there, bro. This is her best album to me personally.
By far.
Like, personally. So again, like we was talking earlier, so we already gave it all its props. We know only criticisms that really got this is a little bit too long. But all the songs are great. So all the songs are good songs. So it's kind of like, when it's long, but it got that much good music on there, then I can accept it.
Yeah.
But we not gonna let Kanye off the hook for this, bro.
So, all right, say what you gotta say, dog. Say what you
Kanye ain't got no business with her no more, bro.
Elaborate.
He ain't got no business producing every song on her album no more.
All right, that was a one-time thing, bro.
It should have been a no-time
moment.
thing. No, it wasn't a moment.
That was a moment.
It shouldn't have been a moment. It shouldn't have been a moment.
It was a marketing strategy. Bro.
We didn't need that. The streets wasn't asking for that. The street, you know what the streets was asking for. They wasn't asking for Kanye to produce Tiana Taylor whole album, bro.
Hey, man.
And you see what happened when she come back reloaded and she get to sing what she want to sing, how she wanted. Because she already, that's the thing. She had stressed at that time how much she was unhappy with how the product came out. Yes or no?
All right.
It was public record that she was unhappy with how the product came out.
But look, though.
They don't mesh together like they should.
But this the thing, though. Like, Kanye is there to give her the platform. He is there to plug her in. He is there as, like, a label kind of head type of thing. He's not even a president of Good Music anymore. That's Pusha T.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So a lot of that is not on Kanye West. A lot of that had to do with Pusha T. And even Pusha T said, like, we've had these conversations about like how her project came out. So I'm not just gonna sit up here and let Kanye get the you know what I'm saying?
Kanye produced the music.
He produced, but that was a whole marketing. He did the same thing for Pusha. He did the same thing for him. He did the same thing for Tiana. He did the same thing for Nas, and he did the same thing for his album with Kid Cudi. That was a moment in time. Let's not act like he does.
Two out of those didn't turn out right.
Was that
2 out of those that didn't turn out right? Then at least
the Nas one and the Tiana one.
Nas and Tiana.
Hey, bro, shooters got to shoot, bro. Shooters got to shoot. It's an idea. You know what I mean? And one might argue,
he's little. Go ahead.
One might argue Tiana is not that big of a star. I think that elevated Tiana's career, even though she didn't come out as like happy with the finished product. That situation, all that media buzz, all of that came out, the album not coming out the way she wanted it and not coming out on time, that elevated it because I wasn't checking for Tiana before that. I'm not even gonna lie, but because I seen the potential. And I'm like, oh, she thinks she can do better than this. And then she comes back and deliver. I would argue that was a good thing for her. Even though that album didn't do what she wanted it to do, that kind of set her up to make this album be the slam dunk that it is.
Fair enough, but going forward is what I'm saying is what we need to be.
But that's what I'm saying. She got to do it with this album. So it's like, all right, that was a moment in time. This is how you get to prove yourself now that you got that audience. Boom, from here on out, I don't think Kanye will be stupid to step in and do that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I looked it up because I was like, Kanye had to have a hand in some of this, right? He had 2 songs. He had like 22 and 23. He had like the last 2 songs on the album. So
and actually, the We Got Love song was supposed to be a Kanye song.
And she changed the verse, which is kind of like, you could take that either way. I don't know how you want to take it, but
I like it. I ain't gonna hold you. Like I like it. On Hill on it. Like I think it was a good vibe. You know what I mean? But I'm biased, so my bias is shown.
It's time for Kanye to hang up the rapping anyway, though. The music making.
Watch your mouth.
It's kind of y'all was trying to shit on Lil Wayne. That's why I didn't bring it up today because y'all was gonna shit on him, and I ain't about to have that.
See, I tried to do you. I tried
fuck y'all.
to do you a favor by not putting that in my singles. But
nope. I'm gonna cut it out. I'm gonna cut it out the video. And I go disrespect my man. If you disrespect Lil Wayne, I'm at Kanye West neck, bro.
Fuck you.
The goddamn
Kanye would never
in his teeth.
Kanye would never want with the Jesus, dog. You know what I'm saying? Wayne could never.
Bro, you really tried to put Kanye over Marvin earlier this week. I don't know.
But this thing, that was your bias. Kanye didn't have a song on. That was his choir. The choir, I said the choir was better than the choir on Marvin's house. So you got me hitting the mic again, dog.
That choir never would have made it if it wasn't for Marvin.
But that's not the song you said. You didn't say never would have made it.
That's a still classic song.
You didn't say never would have made it.
That's a classic song, bro.
Nah, you didn't say never would have made it, dog.
Dog. So you never had your shares of ups and downs?
Hey, bro.
Times where there weren't nobody around?
Hey, bro. That song.
And then God came and spoke them words to you?
That song I sent was better.
All right, bro.
Straight like that.
All right, bro. I'm gonna put that on right here. I'm gonna put that song right. But this song, I'll put the video right here. Right here in the video. You gonna have to everybody get to watch it. But yeah, no, great album. Again, I don't want to, Kanye. Good thing Kanye didn't have anything to do with this. But Tiana Taylor, the album Deluxe.
Other than it coming out on Kanye's label, so great.
It's not Kanye's label, like you said. It's actually Pusha T's. But
no, but she's just the president. You know what I mean? Kanye actually runs that whole thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. So Jay-Z. All right, never mind. You're right.
Exactly. Yeah. Watch your watch your mouth before I put out a minute diss track. You know what I mean? Say, I don't like your tone. I don't like your tone. You know, something about this King's tone that I don't like. You know what I mean?
If I put out an album and I didn't like your tone, I'd probably or a song, a 1 minute song, I'd probably be pretty right. You're not winning the tone battle. You're not gonna win the tone battle. That's not. You're not gonna have a good time with the tone battle, bro. But listen, man, we're gonna reach back a little bit. Snow on the Bluffs, J. Cole, No Name, beef, whatever you want to call it. I don't really consider it beef. It's kind of rectified now. But let's get into it, man. J. Cole released a song called Snow on the Bluff. It was about 2 weeks ago. Some people say it's a diss to No Name. I think it's kind of obvious at this point of what it actually is. No Name respond, but we'll get into all of that. Like, what's your initial responses to Snow on the Bluff?
It's crazy because when I first heard it, I had no idea of the context of the backstory.
Me either.
So when I first heard the song, I just like, oh, new J. Cole. You know what I mean? And J. Cole is one of those artists where you don't appreciate him until after he's gone for a little bit. And it's like, hey, J. Cole he's really nice. You know what I mean? He really be rapping. So I'm just listening to the flow. I'm not even paying attention to the words and everything. I'm thinking another hypothetical song where he addressing somebody. So I'm just appreciating him with the fast flow, him with like, okay, Cole really getting off. So when I thought about it, like, bro, I like it, man. Cole, he addressing it. He putting himself in like a hypothetical universe. So he kind of stepping into the conversation, creating a bigger conversation. Like, this is what I needed. But as time went on, and as we found out, this is a response to an earlier tweet from No Name that said that people be having a whole catalog about, the Black community and police brutality and all that, but won't do nothing when it's time to step up. And once I revisited the Snow on the Bluff song and I realized that he was talking about No Name, and he later admitted like, hey, I need everybody to go follow No Name, which kind of gave validity to he was talking about her. I had a completely different opinion of the song. Like, it completely changed my mind.
As did I. So again, I'm just like you. Like, I had no idea. The only thing I was listening to was like new J. Cole. I thought it was just like because people do the hypotheticals of this girl or this person on social media is doing this, and it makes me look at myself and this and that. Once I found out there was actually a person behind what he was saying, that's when it changed for me. That's when it became from just a regular, like, cool J. Cole song that we kind of needed. We needed him to say something, to like, out of all things you could have said, this is what you said. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is what you decided to come out with. And Charlamagne gives a good point. It's like, hey, maybe we just put too much stock in what J. Cole has said or says or will say or has said or anything like that. I'm like, yeah, but you can't hide him from criticism because of that. The criticism is not from him from what he said, as if he said something stupid. The thing is what he said, like what he was going after, like why now? And No Name addressing in her song is like all these things happening in the world today. You've talked about so many of these things, and you haven't dropped a song in months. And the first thing you think is to criticize another person that's actually out here doing it. It's trash, bro. It's trash. It's not a good look. Like, there's so many things in so many ways for you to address something. To make a song that's what, 2-3 minutes maybe? It's 4 minutes, but a lot of it is just beat. Like, a lot of it is just the background music playing. So let's say a couple minutes to 3 minutes, and probably a minute and a half to 2 minutes of that is you just criticizing somebody that's actually out here doing it. That's trash, bro. And then you turn around and try to hide behind it and saying like, oh, well, maybe she's right and maybe I'm not doing enough. We'll start with that. We'll start with you not doing enough. But don't tell me about somebody else's tone. I don't want to hear about nobody else's tone that's actually out here doing it, because you not. So I don't want to hear about what you got to say about somebody, how the message is getting relayed to the people. The message is getting relayed, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, you have the platform to correct that. You have the platform to say like, hey, I respect her. I respect what she said. I think I would say it a little bit differently. I would say it like this. If it's the same message, so what? But this is how I feel like I got to say it. And let alone you was willing to sit down with people like Lil Pump and have a conversation with them about y'all disagreements. But then here come No Name, and you like, nah, I'm gonna just release a song to criticize her. That makes sense to you?
Yeah, no, I think I agree 100%. Like, to say that it's something about the Queen's tone that's like not sitting right with me. It's like, that's a backhanded compliment, you know what I mean? Or a backhanded criticism. Like, all right, bro. And I think No Name did best when she responded with her song 33. Like, she kind of cleaned them up, bro. I'm not even.
She got him up. Yeah, she
cleaned them up
out of her.
Like on a basis of, one, you proving my point. Two, you know what I'm saying, you played yourself. And three, lyrically, I just kind of barred you up. You know what I mean? Because on her response, song 33, she did what she expected of the people that she was criticizing to do, to bring light to the issues at hand. And I think in her criticism of J. Cole, in her response in song 33, it wasn't a reply track. It was, hey, y'all, this is going on right now. You know what I mean? I think in her bar, she was saying, he really about to write about me while the world is in smokes. When there's people in trees, when George Floyd was begging for his mother, saying he couldn't breathe, you thought to write about me. Like, it's so much stuff going on. Like, like the hook was saying, like, one girl missing, another one. Like, she's talking about real things that are going on that need attention. And in these times where these important issues need attention, we need people with a voice to shed light on these things. We need people that are supposed to be our leaders when it comes to these things to speak out against it. And in these times when we want you to step up and say something, the only thing you could say is you don't like how I'm doing it. When I think I'm doing what you should be doing, you don't speak on George Floyd. You don't speak on all these people coming up hanging. You don't speak on these women going missing. You speak on me because you don't like my tone. You don't like how I'm spreading the message. And like I said, before I got that context, I just thought it was a good song. But after the context, after that response, it's like, No Name she did what she was supposed to do. And even so, like, J. Cole tweeted the song like, hey, go listen to this. You know what I mean? Like, she absolutely right. And then
that's a cleanup act though at that point, bro.
Yeah,
that's
it's like
you've done what you were supposed to do. You've done what you wanted to set out to do. So,
but let me ask you this though: was it all for the better? If the goal was to put the spotlight on the people that knew or that know what they're talking about, or the people that have the resources, or the people that we should be listening to, J. Cole kind of did what he was aiming to do. I don't like how he did it, but he did say, like, yo, people think that because I got a college degree that I'm this smart dude and I'm supposed, hey, I really don't know. But No Name really knows.
And I love that part of it. Yeah. So yes, what you're saying, yes. It did turn, because I wasn't that aware of No Name.
Yeah.
Like, so I wasn't. So yes. Yeah, it brought me on to somebody that I really liked and I really enjoyed listening to from here on out. Not for their music really, but for what they say and the type of things that they're doing. But I like the part about J. Cole saying, like, I am not who y'all think I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the smart, intelligent brother to think of them, I have no idea what I'm doing out here. I have no idea how to fix this problem or any resolutions or anything like that. I just make music. That's cool. Like, because J. Cole, he don't have to come out and say that. Like, I honestly don't think J. Cole would have been criticized. He made no songs. Because Kendrick ain't made a song in forever, nor a statement, nor is he on social media. We don't know where Kendrick's at, and no one has brought him up at all. Like, we're not going to criticize him for that. Like, some people might, but every criticism comes from everywhere. But we're not, as a whole, as a community, going to criticize him for not coming out and using this platform to say it. If he doesn't have anything to say or he doesn't know what to say, it's probably best that you say nothing anyway. So that's what I'm saying. With that being said, you can't come out like Jesse Williams said this back at the BET Awards a few years back. Like, yo, for y'all people that want to criticize the people that's actually out here doing it, sit down. Like just sit down, bro. We don't need that right now. Like if you don't have any better ideas and all you got to come for is criticism of the people that's actually out here doing it, we need solutions. They out here trying. You're not out here doing anything. Don't come out here criticizing. Sit down. Like, and that's why I had to say J. Cole. It hurts because I really like J. Cole. But sit down. Like, bro, like, you know what I mean? Like, sit down, bro. You can't come in here criticize me. And it's like a pod. Like, I come in here criticize you and then be like, but I'm even worse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's basically what the song is. Like, you know, you sound like you know what you're doing, but I wish you would do it differently, even though me, on the other hand, don't know what the fuck I'm doing at all. Mm-hmm. What are we talking about then? Sit down. Like, just why'd you release this? This is, and that's what I'm saying. That's when No Name come back. And like you said, it deaded his whole thing. Because she said everything I just said, but in a song within a minute. And deaded that whole thing. So ain't really much more we can say on here. I know it's a little bit old, so I apologize. We didn't cover it earlier, but last week we had more important things to cover. And so that shit was butt, though.
Words of Kendrick Lamar, sit down. Be humble. Ooh, you got caught a dude on the Apollo. They come down there and start tap dancing.
Get him the fuck out of here. Nah, bruh. So yeah, we got one more topic, right?
Yeah, talk about it pains us to talk about this next topic because just gave this man some positivity. We just gave this man some shout outs, but we don't really want to this isn't an indictment.
Let's be clear though. Does that mean even what's going on now, can you take away the type of stuff that he has did? Was it better? Like you said, I'm gonna ask you the same question you asked. Just say, is it better overall? Because this one is debatable.
No, I think the situation kind of hurts his whole movement. This doesn't take away from what he did in the past, but I think this situation kind of tarnishes the whole momentum that he had. And I think that we're going to get into it. So if you don't know by now, we're talking about Bubba Wallace, a fellow or former positivity shout out recipient of the Who Am I podcast, who recently was involved in a potential hate crime. It was reported that there was a noose left hanging in his garage, and it was unbeknownst to him, but somebody discovered the actual noose, and then they reported it to not only Bubba Wallace, but up to the NASCAR officials, who rather swiftly contacted the FBI to see if they can start a official investigation to see if this was an actual hate crime, to see if somebody actually left a noose in his garage as a kind of retaliation from all the Black Lives Matter support he's been getting, as the removal of the Confederate flag, all of the things that we highlighted him for on a previous positivity shout out. The whole thing was set up to say this was a retaliation for that. And after that noose was found, people pushed, or the entire NASCAR family or whatever that was there for that race pushed his car to the front. He took a video. Everybody stood behind him saying, "We stand with Bubba." But, after a couple of days, the FBI concluded their investigation saying that not only was this not a hate crime, but that quote unquote noose was in that same garage as early as October of 2019. And there was no way of them knowing that Bubba would be assigned to that garage for that race. So they couldn't classify this as a hate crime. This, even though the knot was in the configuration of a noose, it was seen as a garage pull to actually close the garage. So that's kind of where they stand at it today. So I'll open the floor to you, good sir. What do you think about this?
Well, there's several odd things. Okay. But I do want to take note that Bubba Wallace was not the one that reported this. This is why I think he don't really hold any. You can't really blame. If I'm watching a pod and I'd be like, hey, back there are some stolen shoes and you get arrested for it or something like that. It's not really I'm the one that called. And those shoes weren't stolen. Who's to blame? Is it you for just being here having something, or is it for me? I don't really know. You know what I mean? I can't really say it's Bubba Wallace's fault for just being in the situation.
I'll give you that, but I won't say he's off the hook because he did lean into it afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get into that. Yeah. So several things that's weird. I'm not like terribly gifted at tying knots, but I have taken a few classes and a few courses that taught me about knots and things of that nature. I don't know why you would need a noose to pull down a garage door. Like I can't for the life of me think of why you need, because a noose is something that's used frequently, like for hunting and things of that nature. Like a noose is something that you use. A noose for the objective of pulling down a garage door doesn't seem believable to me. I don't know why that would be used. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Starting there, I don't know why. Even people are just saying like, "Oh, it was just a noose that was used traditionally." Like, but why a noose? That's what like everybody. That's what my thing would be like. But why a noose, right? So that's kind of weird. The NASCAR, even going back and forth with the FBI, kind of saying that they were wrong was kind of weird. The fact that people were like, "Well, it's been there since 2019." Even that's weird because I don't really know. Again, I'm not a knot tire, but I don't know how you can classify like, hey, this knot's been tied since 2019 by looking at a knot. I don't know if there's not like specialists or anything like that. Like, I don't know how
they had that garage on camera with that same knot configuration. Like,
okay,
this
so
wasn't
that makes
a newly
sense.
tied knot because he was going into that garage.
Right.
That
So it's
knot
been
had
there.
Yeah.
So it's been there. So ain't that all just a mistake then?
This is my thing, bro. A noose, yes. And when we look at historically in this country, it represents, lynching of black people, right? But, and don't take this the wrong way, I know this probably can be taken out of context. That's a strong knot.
Strong as fuck.
It's a very strong knot.
Yeah,
and if
strong
you're
as
trying
fuck.
to use a piece of rope to pull down a garage door, you need a strong knot to kind of pull that down. And you know what I mean? It wasn't a noose that you can actually put a human or an adult's head in. It was small enough for you to grab that knot and pull down the garage handle. And you would need a strong knot for that to happen. Not saying that there weren't alternative knots that they could have tied it in, but like you said before, a noose is just a configuration of a knot that you could tie a rope in. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that whoever tied that knot didn't have some previous experience with it, and that's not questionable. But the size of the knot, how it was portrayed, and that being there in that garage, where that garage gets routinely switched up between drivers, I can't say too much into it. It was like, oh, that's too abnormal. It just and then there are certain knots or there's certain commercial products with that type of knot being sold, and nobody blinks an eye. There are garage pulls that have that same knot configuration that you can buy commercially. So that's not to say that this is not like abnormal. It's just in the times that we're in, I can kind of see where the misunderstanding happened.
Which is that's my thing. Like, what would you do? Like, that's the kind of thing. If you say you were someone on Bubba Wallace's team, you walked in there and you seen that noose in there.
No,
you would probably report it.
But this is my critique of it. I don't have a problem with you seeing that knot and be like, yo, this look like a noose. And this is the only black dude in NASCAR. He began a lot of attention based on his support for Black Lives Matter and the removal of the Confederate
and they
flag.
searched all the garages. It was the only one with the noose.
Right, but this is my thing though. My only problem is the immediate media narrative, the immediate grandstanding, the immediate NASCAR stands with Bubba Wallace. Everybody let's push his car to the front, and all the memes and all the things saying like, oh, NASCAR is doing more to support Bubba Wallace than the NFL has done to support Colin Kaepernick in a span of 48 hours. And it's like, that to me, I don't like, because we're kind of moving, and I've said this many times in the past, we're moving into a point in our culture where we're celebrating victimhood. And it's like, yeah, was this a misunderstanding? Absolutely. Yo, this not, hey, bro, is this really necessary? It wasn't that big of a deal. It obviously wasn't a hate crime towards Bubba Wallace specifically. Hey, it's just a noose. It's just a knot that somebody tried to use in this garage handle. Yo, I would rather that not be here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But for it, that immediate, everybody to assume this is a hate crime, everybody to assume like this is somebody retaliating to Bubba Wallace because of support of Black Lives Matter for the removal of the Confederate flag. And then even after the report came out for Bubba Wallace to kind of lean into it, saying like a noose is a noose, like I know this was like somebody targeted me, like that kind of just further perpetuates that narrative, and it takes away from the real hate crimes that are out there. Like this is like, okay, this could be a misunderstanding. This could be a dumb person. This could just be somebody who tied the wrong type of knot and they just put the wrong. This is just an accident, right? But for somebody who is going out there and that is somebody did leave them a real noose and somebody who really is threatening, they can now compare it to this, like, oh, you just pulling Bubba Wallace. Same way we talked about Jussie Smollett last year. For real people that are in that situation, it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. When it actually does happen, nobody will believe you because of situations like that. And that's what I don't like about the situation.
Yeah, I just don't want to blame Bubba Watson for it because, again, from the point of view, I can see what he was. I can see what he was doing, right? Like I see why he would think that this is what it was because the situation is weird. Again, we've said how strong a noose, a knot that a noose is, but there are several different knots to take at a time. Honestly, for pulling that garage down, they probably could have left that rope just hanging. They probably didn't even need a knot at all. So it's kind of weird that it would be there. It's kind of weird that it would be the only one there in the whole entire, like, that whole entire scene. No other garages had a noose tied to their garage like that. So I can see why he'd be like, all right, this is obviously some shit. Like, this is obviously so. And then this is what the media do, though. This is what prosecutors do. This is what DA do. They go in there and they shift the narrative. That's what they do. Like, this is what happens. We just had this shit in Palmdale happen. They like, oh, this is obviously suicide. And then they had a town hall and the dude came and was like, y'all need to stop. Do y'all know what it is? And they like, no. And he like, well, then stop saying it's a suicide. Y'all keep trying to say it's suicide, but y'all have no information of that. So, like, this is what happens in the media. This is how people want to shift the narrative to what they happen. So I'm not blaming Bubba Wallace. If I'm blaming Bubba Wallace, I'm blaming the media as a whole. Because this is what happens.
Right, but that's why I said I don't blame Bubba Wallace because he wasn't the initial one that filed the complaint anyway. I blame him for feeding into the narrative. And I think the narrative is dangerous, like you said, with the media, because this is why George Zimmerman didn't get convicted of murder for Trayvon Martin, is because the media had this narrative. And when it came down to arguing the facts didn't substantiate what we already believe was the truth. And then things go how we don't expect them to go. So my criticism is I don't like getting mad before the facts are in, because once these facts come in to debunk what we already thought, we already have this emotional connection to it. So now we see anything less than what our emotions tell us is the right thing to do as a loss or as an injustice. Don't run with this narrative. Don't call in this big investigation. Don't let this be a big old thing before you get the facts. And once the facts come out and it seems like, hey, we may have had a misunderstanding, let's not keep furthering that narrative. Let's not lean into that narrative, because there are other things we could be focusing on. There are other injustices, such as the arrest of the officers that killed Breonna Taylor, that need this media coverage. Not so much this NASCAR driver that thought it was a hate crime, but it found out it wasn't. There are real issues that need this media attention. And that's why I have the criticism of it. I don't have a criticism of the initial, like, hey, this looks like a noose. Because, again, a lot of strange things lined up. But after the facts come out, all right, bro, let's on to other things. You know what I mean? And if you're going to do all of that, at least win the race, bro. Like, don't do all of that and then come in 10th place, dog.
Yeah.
The ball was by the rim. All you had to do was tap it in. You came through and try to put it between your legs and threw it out of bounds, dog. Come on, bro.
Yeah. Same with the Confederate flag. Like, y'all doing all this right now. Y'all took the L. Y'all can't be out here. You can't. Y'all can't be out here now talking 200 years later talking about some goddamn. Hey, dog, I should be able to fly this. Like, bro, you know you took the L. Like, and y'all was traitors to the United States. Like, I'm going off another tangent, but I feel you. I feel you though. That's the same thing. You can't then come in and take the L, bro. I never seen somebody deny L harder than Confederates.
Hey man, Jussie Smollett says, "Hold my noose around my neck, brother. Hold this MAGA hat. Hold this Subway sandwich. I got you."
Bro, homie had the noose on when they came though. That's like, homie was rocking the Burberry noose like it was a fashion statement. Though.
He said, "Hold this Subway sandwich. I got something for you."
Now that I see a noose though, it is kind of crazy that Burberry, like, a while back, came out with like a noose that they thought that shit was like clean or something though. That shit is wild, right? Like, I thought I was just tripping. Like every once in a while, I'll be like, "Oh, y'all overreacting." Now that I look back on that situation, I'm like, "The motherfuckers thought they was gonna make a noose and get that shit off."
Hey man,
I see you with the Burberry boots back there too. Don't even start.
Where?
You're right.
What flavors you want me to give them?
Which one? Which one?
You want the Fear of God? You want the Yeezy? Nah, you know what? And I don't mean to get off on the tangent, but what happens is when people out of touch, they take things that they're not supposed to be involved in and get involved with them. So, like, let's take, for example, the N-word, right? You see how that was a derogatory slur, and then we adopted it and made it a term of endearment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's kind of how people look at it from the outside of the culture, you know, to be. So them trying to say, hey, I'm going to take what was a signal or was a symbol of oppression, was a symbol of pain, was a symbol of hate, and I'm going to take it and put it as a symbol of fashion. Whereas though, like, nah, bro, we don't need that right now. You know what I mean? We don't need that, bro. And I think, never mind, I ain't going.
No, you're right. You know,
I've been dragging.
Get your shit off, man. Get your shit off.
That was an interview with this, Lecrae, the rapper, the Christian rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking to like another white pastor. And Shannon Sharp posted it, and I think he kind of took it out of context. But the guy was saying, like, we look at the symbol of the cross for Christianity as a symbol for good things. You know what I mean? The act of Jesus being put up on the cross and being crucified was a horrible deed, was something that was so devastating, was such an evil act. But the symbol of it represents, you know, Jesus' sacrifice to us, and that is a good thing. It's a lesson learned. Whereas though the stain of slavery is a horrible deed in America, but white people will not see the lesson to be learned in that horrible deed. And by not addressing it, we refuse to get that lesson to kind of make the next step towards change. For that, acknowledging that will kind of make it, you know, we could figure out how to move forward past it. But because we refuse to acknowledge it, because we refuse to acknowledge that stain on our history, we can never accept that blessing. And a lot of people saw that and took it out of context, thinking that he's saying that slavery was a blessing to people in America, but that wasn't necessarily the case. So like I said, when certain people speak on things outside of the culture, when they speak on certain things, it's just hard for us to accept it, because when you speak on slavery as a white person, be mindful of that. Like, that's not something that we really want to hear from you. When you talk about nooses on fashion, be mindful of that. No matter what your intention is, that's not something we want to hear from you. So,
but Joe Biden could tell us how black we are, so we could definitely listen to what Joe Biden says, because that's obviously.
Hey, bro, I already got my Sammy Sosa cream to kind of like.
Oh, you about to? Yeah. Hit the Michael Jackson.
Come through the Michael Jackson.
It ain't as difficult it was when Michael Jackson went through. You could just get a little cream on you.
Right. Why?
I'm done, bro.
800 credit score, boy. Why?
I'm done, bro. All right, bro. Let's get into the positivity shout out, man. All right. So I got Angela Stanton. She just recently came onto the Breakfast Club and pretty much dominated the whole interview. She's running for Georgia. She's running for a Georgia Senate. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if it's Senate, but
she's running for a seat in government at Georgia. So I'm not sure exactly what it is right now, but I'll let King look it up, because look like he about to come fact check me with the Trump supporter type stuff. But no, I'm messing with you. But nah, so yeah, she came on recently and she just dominated the whole scene. Really, like, she came in with full facts, fully ready, fully prepared. And it take a lot for you to go into a hostile environment, because Breakfast Club would have been a hostile environment for her. I know she's black. She's a black woman. She's been in jail. She has 5 children that she raised on her own. She got out of jail. Trump actually pardoned her, and that actually allowed her to be able to run for a seat in Georgia government. So she's actually benefiting from that, yes. But when she goes in there, she's very conservative. She is a Trump supporter. She aligns herself with Trump. But she brings good points. And we always talk about, we had an episode a while back called Balanced Perspectives. We always talk about balanced perspective. King actually sent me this, so shout out to him for actually sending me this and giving me the chance to actually see it, because it was really good for me. It was good to me to see that side of the story, because when I looked at it and I watched it, because I watched it twice, because it's about 48 minutes, but I watched it once and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling her what she's saying. Like I can understand it, but let me see it again. So I watched it again, and that's when I kind of understood like about 90% of this, man. Like I can fly with this. I'd be after watching that video, I would be inclined to vote for her more than ever. Like Charlamagne at the end said he disagreed with 90% of it, and I'm like, I want to hear about that. I want to hear about how did you disagree with a lot of what he's saying, because about what she's saying, because to me she brings good points. It seems to me that she is very for the Black community more than ever. So I don't really see the coon comments, all the things that people are calling her and things of that nature. I don't see that just because she supports Trump, because even she said like, hey, if Trump is starting to do things bad to my community, then that's when we'll disalign with each other. I'm loyal, but only to a certain degree. So she doesn't see, some people might say, well, Trump has already did things. I'm not here to argue that. I'm just saying that maybe you should go watch that, see her side of the story, because we do have people that's in our community that supports that side. And we should listen to them as well, because again, you brought up maybe I think last week about like, hey, we should vote for what has our best interest in mind, like as far as the Black community, because then we can hold them accountable to that. If we vote people in that never really cared about us anyway, and their whole campaign, they never said they cared about us. Why would they get into the White House and then start all of a sudden care about our agenda? Like we have to vote for somebody that's already supporting our agenda, and then that way, when we want to press for harder, more, they'll understand, because they know that they owe us something. But we know Democrats we know like this. I'm not about to get into it, but we know Democrats not caring about the Black vote, bro. Like this is not the first time that they get it and then they run off with it, bro. They like a bad they like abusive baby dad or something like that. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that's what they are. But
Great, right?
I'm not saying that we should all vote Republican. I'm not saying we should vote for Donald Trump. I'm just saying that like we should look at both sides and see what they got going on before we just be like, this and that. So, but yeah, shout out Angela Stanton though, and look out for her in Georgia, man. Look out for her. See what she got going. I know, like they said, they a big part of LGBT community is in Atlanta, so I'll be surprised to see how she does in there.
Yeah, so she's running for election to the U.S. House to represent Georgia's 5th congressional district. That's what she's running for.
Much love. She held her own, bro.
She did a thing.
She
definitely
dominated
did a thing. And it's dope. It's dope how these lined up. So, kind of in line with what you're saying, my positivity shout out goes to Dr. Mark Lamont Hill. So again, this one hit kind of home because he's from the home team. Like you, born from Philly. He is a tenured professor at Temple University, which was like 10 blocks away from where I went to high school. So like definitely accomplished in the Black community. He has been a CNN contributor. He's been a host on a news and political show on BET. Very outspoken on what he believes for the Black community. He's been on Fox News. He's been challenging people for as long as I can remember. He has been like a voice of the Black community. And for those who don't know, or those who've been under a rock for the past couple of weeks, when the George Floyd incident first surfaced, one of the most highly critical, or one of the most polarizing things that came afterwards was a Candace Owens video, basically trying to tear down the character of George Floyd and saying that he shouldn't be a martyr and we shouldn't be looking to him like a hero. And that got a lot of criticism, I think justifiably, in the Black community. And even so, like in the Dave Chappelle special that you mentioned in the last positivity shout out, where he actually called her out by name, like, yo, she needs to shut the F up. Boom, boom. So Candace Owens has a show that she invites people who disagree with her to come on and debate these things, kind of like how we do at the Who Am I podcast. We invite each and every one of you to come on and challenge our views. Mark Lamont Hill pulled up for the smoke, and he really was like, yo, I understand what you're saying, but this is what I'm saying. And he kind of gave a counter argument to that. And I think kind of like how you were saying with Angela Stanton is so needed, especially in our community, for the people who disagree to have these conversations. Because if we're coming to each other with a respect or with a common understanding that I want what's best for our community, we can both benefit. You know what I mean? Me as a viewer, I benefited from hearing Candace Owens as they push back on her opinions, or I benefited from Dr. Hill when Candace pushed back on his opinions. And again, I agree with everything he said. I agree with everything she said. I was able to pick both pieces and say, you know what, that part makes sense to me. That part makes sense to me. And I think that's what we need to do. And kind of like what Kevo was saying, we need to stop being so married to, I have to vote this way, I have to think this way, to be like, you know what, I think a little bit of this works. I think a little bit of that works. And I think this is what we need to do as a community. And as we transition from just sitting back and being pacifists and being activists and pushing for change, it takes conversations like this within our community to see both sides, to figure out what is the best way forward. And I definitely commend Dr. Lamont Hill for pulling up and, you know, getting that smoke, and both of them for being cordial throughout the whole process. And at the end of it, agreeing to disagree. It never got tense. It never got angry. It never turned into a shouting match. But this is what we need in our community. So definitely want to shout out to Dr. Mark Lamont Hill for, you know, keeping that same energy. I appreciate that.
I agree. I think we should address those people that we don't agree with, especially the people that's like the extremists. I think people sometimes think like we shouldn't give them any merit by talking to them at all. But I think that people that we even view as extremists on the other side, whatever side you sit on that is, I think we should address them, because if not for anything, if not that you don't got any understanding what they do by the end of the conversation, at least then you can debunk what type of bullshit they saying. You know what I mean? So if they saying something that you like, this is just completely, it couldn't be further from relevant, like couldn't be further from the truth, then at least at minimum by the end of the conversation, if I don't get you to see a different side of it, or if we don't get to an end of a debate, I could at least debunk you with the facts that I have. I could at least debunk those type of conversations. So people that you do have those followers, they know that the truth is not being spread from you. So.
Yeah, and I know we're getting long-winded, but you know, I got that drink in my cup. Candace Owens actually brought this up, and she was saying the brilliance of Dr. King's strategy was to pull up and let the stupid people show themselves, let the racists expose themselves, let the oppressors expose themselves. And that was the strategy of nonviolence. And we always look back at it with hindsight and just see like, yeah, he preached nonviolence or whatever. But the reason why we have all of these videos of oppression, and we got the hoses sicked on people and the dogs being sicked on them, the reason why change happened is because they pulled up and let people reveal who they really are, and let history be the judge of who's right and who's wrong. And I think that's kind of what we need to start doing, in a way where we could pull up with people, the racists, the bigots, and let them really spew that real hatred, and let the world see and let the world judge of who they think is right and wrong. So powerful conversation.
Indubitably.
Don't take my word, dog. Don't take my sauce, dog. Don't take my sauce, dog. Don't take my sauce.
Indubitably.
Indubitably.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Donations. Donations. More gifts. That's my favorite part. More gifts.
Oh, man, he from Philly too, so I can't even hate on my guy. But
more gifts. All right, y'all, man. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Who Am I Pod. If y'all don't know, or a little bit later in the week, we'll go ahead and post a clip of our little podcast, because we have a guest coming on. We're trying to get a guest that comes on every week. So if you guys want to be involved in that, go ahead and let us know. We'll try to bring a guest on every week to discuss one of our topics. So we're going to discuss something good. Meek Mill versus Trey Songz here in a little bit. So go ahead and make sure you tune into that, like and subscribe to that. Leave a comment if you disagree, and then try to come on for that as well. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting us over and over again. Thanks for the gifts and the more gifts and the donations. The donations. Thank you for the donations. But go ahead and tune into our YouTube. We're trying to get more viewers on there. We know we appreciate y'all listening to all of our streaming services, as far as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, any streaming service you can think of. Anchor app. If you want to leave an actual voicemail or anything like that, you can go into the Anchor app and leave that. If you want to leave a comment that you want us to respond to, that's on any social media platform, as far as Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Leave a comment on any of those, and then we'll go ahead and address you as well. Leave a DM if you want to get on the podcast. So we appreciate it. Again, thanks for all the gifts, more gifts, and the donations, man. Thank you.
Indubitably. Body that.
All right, bro.
Who am I? The girls them sugar.